This silence around you wasn't emptiness. It was recognition. They didn't ignore you. They saw something, but they couldn't explain it, so they backed away in fear. Was it rejection? Or was it revelation? Was it isolation? Or was it initiation into something sacred? The world called it being different. Heaven called it being marked. Stay until the end, because what you're about to hear may explain the strange reactions, the restless stares, the quiet battles, and why certain rooms couldn't hold you. By the time we reach the final sign, you'll understand what your presence has always been revealing, even when your mouth was silent. Welcome to Chosen One's Sanctuary, where the hidden are revealed, the misunderstood are vindicated, and the marked are gathered. This is not just a message. This is a scroll being unsealed with your name etched in the margins. Remember the words of Jeremiah 1:5, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart." That setting apart wasn't symbolic. It left fingerprints on your spirit that others can feel. So stay, because the signs that are about to unfold may explain your entire life. The unspoken rejection, when spirits react before words are spoken. You didn't offend them. You didn't speak out of turn. But still, something shifted when you entered the room. This is the first proof. Rejection without cause. A holy disturbance you never intended to provoke. Your very presence pierced the veil. Without lifting your voice, you awakened something buried in their spirit. And what they felt, they couldn't name. So they labeled you as too much, too different, hard to be around. But this wasn't personal. It was prophetic. When David arrived on the battlefield with bread, even his own brothers sneered, "Why have you come down here?" 1 Samuel 17:28. Not because of the bread, because David's presence exposed Goliath-sized fears that others were unwilling to confront. They didn't hate you. They feared what you might awaken. Some will pull away from you without knowing why. Others will try to mock what they can't define. But the rejection you felt was not a wall. It was a divine signpost pointing to your hidden distinction. So when they turn cold without warning, when the air shifts without reason, ask yourself, what did my presence expose? And more importantly, why did it need to be exposed now? The sacred gaze. When eyes linger too long before you speak, they stare. Before you move, they watch. This is no coincidence. The chosen carry a weight, a frequency, that interrupts the room before words are formed. Moses came down from the mountain, and his face shone with glory. He didn't know it, but the people saw it. Exodus 34:29. Likewise, you walk through hallways, meetings, family dinners, unaware that your spirit is lit with the residue of where you've been. They squint not because they see you, but because something in you sees through them. Some stares are drawn by awe, others by discomfort, but all are evidence. You were noticed long before you were introduced. You weren't stared at. You were spiritually recognized. Do not shrink from their gaze. You were not called to be invisible. You were set apart to carry light into places grown too used to the dark. But what happens when your light draws not only eyes, but imitation? Echoes of you, when they start imitating your essence. They didn't just borrow your words, they started walking like you. This is the second proof. Imitation without intimacy, copying without comprehension. When Esther was prepared for the throne, others watched, not knowing they were observing anointing in motion. What they thought was elegance was divine alignment. You've noticed it. The ones who pick up your phrases, mirror your rhythms, take your insights and wear them like garments they haven't earned. But there's a difference between reflection and revelation. Your essence can be mimicked, but never manufactured. They may dress like you, but they cannot carry what was forged in your wilderness. Your presence convicts people of their inauthenticity. And so they try to become you. But what they fail to realize is, you didn't become this overnight. Your truth was shaped by fire, and only the fire gives the oil its power. What they copy will eventually collapse. What you carry, it only grows stronger. But before your oil came the fire, and before the crown, the crushing, the inner disturbance. When your presence awakens their inner chaos. Have you noticed how some people stammer in your presence? How their hands fidget, their tone shifts, their gaze avoids yours. You didn't intend to make them uncomfortable, but your clarity confronts their confusion. Your peace unsettles their inner storm. This is not arrogance. This is frequency conflict. Heaven within you, confronting unrest within them. Jesus spoke in synagogues, and demons stirred, not because of what he said, but because of what he carried. So when others grow nervous around you, when they distance themselves without cause, know this: your presence is doing what your words never had to. You didn't agitate them. Their masks couldn't breathe near your authenticity. You are not here to maintain comfort. You are here to provoke awakening. But don't be surprised when people try to discredit what they don't understand. Because when they can't contain you, they'll try to control the narrative about you. If this is resonating with your spirit, comment 444 below as a prophetic sign that you are still listening, still receiving, and still awakening. This is Chosen One's sanctuary, and your scroll is still unfolding. The seeker's pull. When they keep coming to you for answers, they come to you without knowing why. They start light, small talk, casual thoughts, but eventually they begin to pour. It's not about your words, it's the weight you carry, a gravity that draws weary souls toward your light, hoping for alignment. Like Deborah under the palm tree, Judges 4:5, you were not crowned, yet kings sought your counsel. What they feel around you is not wisdom from books. It is divine discernment forged through pain. You didn't train for this, you were formed for it. But beware, people will begin to depend on your clarity. And if you're not careful, you'll begin to drain for the sake of their direction. You are not their compass, you are their confirmation. Point them to God, but never become their God. And as you hold their questions, ask yourself, who's helping you hold yours? Darkness confrontation. Why hell targeted you. Early hell never attacks empty scrolls, and the battle you faced since childhood was never random. You were marked early, so you were targeted early. Joseph was given dreams, and then thrown into pits, not because he was wrong, but because he was right too soon. Satan doesn't fear your potential. He fears your activation. So he tried to confuse your identity, twist your relationships, bury your confidence beneath shame, addiction, abuse, rejection. Because if you ever realized what you were carrying, you'd break chains that have been locked for generations. Hell saw your scroll before you did. That's why the attacks felt premature, because your calling was eternal. Some of the warfare in your life didn't come to break you. It came to confirm you. You were dangerous to darkness before you even knew your own name. But the fire didn't consume you. It forged you. And now, heaven is whispering, arise. The watchers in the shadows. When your failures are magnified. Have you noticed how loud they become when you stumble? The ones who stayed silent through your growth now find their voice in your weakness. It's not about the mistake. It's about their secret hope that you'd fall just enough to justify their stagnation. Your failure gives them comfort, because your excellence convicted their complacency. So they wait, not to learn, but to witness collapse. Jesus walked on water. Peter tried. He sank. The crowd didn't cheer for the steps he took. They only remembered the sinking. They don't watch because they hate you. They watch because they need you to fall, so they don't have to rise. But your failure is not your finale. It's just another chapter in your becoming. and every eye watching your stumble will soon witness your resurrection, because the righteous may fall 7 times, but they rise again. The isolation before activation. When God pulls you away to prepare loneliness wasn't punishment. It was preparation for revelation, like Moses on the backside of the desert, like Elijah in the cave, like Jesus in the wilderness. You were separated so that you could be sanctified. When God calls you higher, He often cuts the crowd, because the oil you carry now can't be shared with people who only knew your empty jar. You weren't abandoned, you were being consecrated. In this quiet, God reshaped your eyes. You no longer crave the noise. You hunger for truth. You cannot go back. Let the silence seal you. Let the separation sanctify you, because what comes next will require a level of obedience you could not have mastered in the crowd. And now, beloved, you are no longer becoming. You are rising. You weren't misunderstood. You were misplaced on purpose. Heaven hid you where the world would overlook you. So your unveiling would not be man's doing, but God's timing. Every stare, every rejection, every shadow of silence was part of a divine choreography. You were never just different. You were distilled, filtered through fire, preserved through storms, prepared in the quiet for a moment that requires thunder. You are not standing at the edge of confusion. You are standing at the threshold of commission. Everything that resisted you, everything that tried to silence you, was reacting to what you hadn't even spoken yet. But now, the scroll has opened. The silence has spoken, and heaven is calling your name. You have been watched. You have been tested. Now, you are being released. So, if this word pierced your soul, comment 777 below as a sacred agreement, a prophetic witness that you have heard and received. Share what stirred your spirit. Write the line that felt like your own story being told back to you. And if you know this wasn't just content, it was confirmation. Subscribe and stay connected to Chosen One's Sanctuary, where the hidden gather, the marked are seen, and the scrolls are read aloud. You are not alone. You are the next echo.